Greetings and welcome back to another episode of The Bit Between. I'm your host, Sabih Mahmood. You might know me as the Sabdog. And today, we're going to be doing a bit of a different episode. It's just going to be me and you, and we're going to be discussing me. What a wonderful topic that is. Damn, that was a terrible introduction. I'm going to keep it in. Anyway, today's show is going to be slightly different because I would like to just discuss, my story, who I am, so you can understand, who is this random dude behind the camera doing these podcast episodes, making these YouTube videos, animations, and everything else that I do. So I think it'd be really cool to just get to know each other a little bit, That's about it. I don't know what else to say now. Now, I'm going to be doing this in one take, and that's a challenge for me. I've never done anything without editing all the awkward bits out, so please forgive me if this is a little bit disjointed. But anyway, here we go. So, August the 20th, 2002, I guess. We'll start there. That's an amazing day because I was born. I need to stop with these stupid jokes. So yeah, I was born almost 19 years ago now. It's August the 5th or 6th today. I can't read. August the 5th, I believe. And peep the big microphone, by the way. It's August the 5th today, and almost 19 years ago I was born. I don't remember much after that, and I grew up in a city. I'm not going to name it. Don't want people, going too deep into things. But I grew up in like a pretty rough, not that nice city. Moved out to the countryside, surrounded by fields and farmers and just a completely different lifestyle. And now I'm 18. I'm living at home with my parents again. And, life's pretty good. I've got my own, I say business, even though it's not technically registered yet, but I've got my own thing that I do where I make stuff for people, which includes animations, a little bit of posters and graphic design. Not that much of it, but it's still one of my things. A bit of video editing. I run the podcast, got my YouTube channel that is a little bit dead at the moment, but that's going to be changing. And I want to go back to my childhood and tell you, who I was and what I was like when I was growing up, because that kind of helps explain, how I've got to where I am now. But I think you got a good introduction as to, who I am. So, when I was a kid, my older sister and I were very creative, and we were very, we'd always like to play. I always had, Lego. I have, so much Lego and Bionicles and everything up there off camera, and I'd never stop, playing with Lego. Abisha, who's my older sister, we'd make, Nerf movies together where we'd shoot each other, and, all sorts of creative, weird avenues that we'd try. We made songs, we made movies, we used to, I don't know if roleplay is the right word, but when you're a kid, you just do that. You play, don't you? You, pretend to do stuff. So that's what we used to do all the time, and then my little sister came along and we did it a bit with her, but she just preferred to, smash up all my Lego buildings. But I was always a creative kid. That's what I'm trying to get at. I used to make stop motion animations on my Nintendo DS, so I'll find them one day and I'll post them, maybe on my Instagram at the Sabdog, by the way. Make sure to follow me there. And what am I going to say now? Hold on. Yeah, so I was always a creative kid, basically, and this is important, and you'll see why. And then I kind of got more into science. I got this, I remember, I always have these distinct memories where it's things that you remember and you don't understand why, and I'm sure everybody else has them. But for me, one of those is, I think it might have been birthday or Christmas or something like that. My mum got me these scientific kits where, it was like a box, and it came with, all these cool experiments you could do at home. And that kind of was, really cool for me, because I was also into dinosaurs and looking at, reading dinosaur books, and then kind of this, I just kind of transitioned over to the, more of a sciencey period where I really enjoyed the sciencey stuff. And so as I was growing up, that's kind of where I thought I'd see myself. My parents thankfully didn't put too much pressure on me to go down that avenue or become a doctor or anything like that. But that's kind of where I just envisaged myself being. So fast forward a few years until after my GCSEs, and I'm trying to think about, what I want to do as a career. By the way, for anybody who's not from the UK, GCSEs you do at 16, and then at 18 you do A-levels, and then from there you pick just before that you pick your university courses, and then you go to university at 18. So this is at about 16 years old. I'm thinking, like, what do I want to do with my life? I picked biology, chemistry, and maths. They were arguably my 3 strongest subjects. I didn't do too badly in my GCSEs, did alright. I've always been like, this isn't a flex, this is just to give you an idea of who I am. I always got decent grades. Like, I wasn't happy with anything less than an A, basically, throughout my time at school. Ended up getting good GCSEs, and then picked biology, chemistry, and math, like I said, from repeating myself, and applied to do biology at all sorts of different universities. However, actually, let me go a little bit further back. I don't know why I keep talking weirdly. So this is a lot hot. Let me start again. This is a lot harder than you think it is. Like, you see all these people doing like solo podcast episodes, and it is actually pretty difficult. Like, you've got to think about what you're saying whilst not messing up your words and looking at the camera enough so that it doesn't feel like weird. But anyway, a few years before I got into the whole biology thing, I was thinking of becoming a vet. So I did a bunch of veterinary work experience, and I would definitely recommend you do that because it helps you understand, if this is something you want to go into. So I went to 2 different practices over, a few weeks each one. And let's just say I didn't want to be a vet anymore. I had some very interesting experiences, the 2 most memorable being seeing a chicken get put down. A guy just brings the chicken in, and I previously asked if I could see the whole procedure of them killing the animal or euthanizing the animal, because I wanted to experience it, see what it was like. Because obviously if I was going to be a vet, I'd be dealing with that all the time. And so he brought the chicken in a big cardboard box, basically. And he said, oh yeah, I'm doing this, do you want to come in? I was like, yeah, sure. So he came in, he goes, so now we have an alive chicken, and there it was, like, clucking its head and moving around, and then he stabbed it with this red juice, and within like seconds it was dead. He like grabbed it, put it on the table, and was like, there, and now you have a dead chicken. And I was like, yo, this is mad. And afterwards he told me that he used to do that, like, sometimes he'd go through periods of doing that like 10 times in a day, and sometimes, it just got to him too much, and he had to desensitize himself, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to become a vet. All the illness and the sadness and the death, it kind of got to me. I'm a relatively emotional person, so that stuff did touch. It did touch me. And then the other thing was kind of on the ethical side of things. I didn't think it was fair that... I don't even know why I'm explaining this. I didn't think it was fair that we just put down animals if people couldn't afford treatment. So I was like, you know what? No more vet. And I had pretty similar experiences at both places where I knew that this wasn't what I wanted to do. And then I was thinking about becoming a doctor, Asian stereotype. Become a doctor, do your family proud. Yeah, because I've got a lot of... This isn't hating on doctors, by the way, but I've got a lot of doctors in my family, and they're nice people. Like, they're great, And so people, obviously, when they see somebody who's getting like good grades, and they're like, "Oh, you're so smart," blah blah blah, they think, "Oh, why do you become a doctor?" So I considered it for a bit, and I spoke to like a few doctors in the family and elsewhere, and again, it just had the same vibe, but with humans. And the other annoying thing about humans is that they don't listen. So you might tell them, you as a doctor or as a vet will be like, do this, and this will mean this for your animal. Your animal will suffer if you don't do this, or you will be fat and you're going to die if you don't clean up your diet, blah, blah, blah. And people don't listen. So anyway, didn't want to become a doctor. So I just naturally thought, well, my strongest subject at the moment is biology. I don't like maths anymore, don't like chemistry. Let's go to university to go do biology. So I applied to like 5 different universities, but did some open days, blah, 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 all that stuff. And went with biology, got into the University of St Andrews, which some people know, some people don't, and everybody just knows it as the one that Kate and William went to, and so it's got that prestige of being like, oh, this is where the royals go, but it's really not. Okay, I don't want to just talk crap about my university, but it's not like incredible. You know, it's decent, it's prestigious, it's relatively high ranked, but it's not like Oxford, Cambridge level, like some people like to make it out that it is. So it was an alright university, let's say that. And it was alright for biology, apparently. So there I am, September. I've moved in 7 hours away, and I'm at my university, ready to go. And I also took an economics module, a philosophy module, and then the biology. And I'm not going to lie, right? I actually hated the university work. It got to the point where I just gave up. I hated it so much that I couldn't bring myself to do it. I've never been in that position before where, like, you're that demotivated and you're that broken, I guess, by what you have to do every day that you just can't bring yourself to do it anymore. And I ended up just always being in a bit of a weird mood because the main thing that I was doing wasn't fulfilling me. I lost my interest for biology, which kind of wasn't there in the first place. I only really did it because it was the strongest of my subjects and I hated the other two. Sorry, I'm just checking the time. And, you know, it just didn't go, it wasn't my thing. You know, I didn't want to write essays anymore, didn't want to do lab reports. And I remember, actually, this is a big story for me, big moment. There's this one moment where it was COVID whilst I was at university, so, you know, very little in-person teaching, most of it's online. And there was this one moment where we had an in-person practical for biology. And I remember sitting there surrounded by these people that I barely knew because you didn't really get to properly speak to these people and become friends with them because you saw them once in your life. I sat at this table doing this practical and they were talking about how different codes of DNA do this and the proteins look like this and all these complex diagrams, and my brain just wasn't working. I just couldn't absorb this information, and they gave us workbooks to work through, and other people were getting on with questions, asking them, you know, what's your answer? What do you say about this? Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like in my own world. Like I felt like I was completely alone despite being surrounded by people. That's the second time in my life that that's happened to me. The other one being at a party, which you might know if you've watched my video, why I don't go to parties. But anyway, I felt so alone and so lost and just, I had no idea what I was doing in my life. I remember looking at like all these monitors and screens with these diagrams on and thinking like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. Why am I here? And I was like this close to crying. I think I might have shed a few tears, but nobody saw. And it was a really big moment for me because at that moment I was like, that's it. I'm done. My journey in the scientific biological route is just finished now. There's nothing for me here. I don't want to go into this. So once I got through that, I got my university results. I basically I submitted a 2,000 word essay. It was supposed to be 2,000 words. I think I submitted like 200 and still managed to pass all my modules. So I'm pretty happy with myself. I think that was the first time in my life going to university where like I actually wasn't bothered about my grades. And that was a strange feeling as well, like not caring about school because I'd grown up, always caring about school because it is important, your education, formal education. And so I thought to myself, right, okay, well, what else am I going to do now? And I started doing these weird edits. If you scroll to the bottom of my Instagram page, you can see I photoshopped myself in The Simpsons. I did Adventure Time posters and all these other things that I just did because I felt like doing. I had no particular reason. I just wanted to creatively express myself. And so I did it through, a few cool ways. And kind of before all this, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine called Diego, who is from Puerto Rico, and he has a clothing brand called Vital Studios on Instagram, and that's how he messaged me like a whole year before all this, saying, "Oh, can you check out my brand?" That was something that these up and coming streetwear brands would do. They'd message you and say, "Hey, I think you might like my clothes. Can you check me out?" So he did that. I joined his Discord server and got chatting with people, and I met Diego, got a decent relationship with him, and then I started talking to him about these videos that he was making, because he was making 3D animations, and I was like, "Yo, this is so cool! I want to learn how to do this." And so I decided at some point, like before I went to university, that I wanted to try and do this. I played around in Blender, which is a free 3D software, and didn't really get anywhere with it because I was just using my laptop. And then once all this university stuff happened, I was like, okay, now I've got an opportunity to maybe go for something different and, see how I can creatively find myself. And so I was reminded of this, 3D software called Blender. I thought of all these different creative things I wanted to do, like podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff like that. And so, well, I've got too many stories going on at once. But anyway, long story short, I saw that Diego was making 3D animations for people and making money from it. And that he learned it and picked it up pretty fast. And I was like, yo, that is awesome. I want to learn how to do that. And so, that's kind of what I've done now. But I didn't really know that I would get where I am now 6 months ago. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about was the podcast. Now, ever since I was 16, maybe 15, I started listening to podcasts instead of listening to music, because I was going through this weird phase where I was like, no music, it influences my mood too much. I was just being that woke 14-year-old who was just like, yo, I just listen to podcasts and that's it, man. Music, bro, why would you want to listen? But yeah, I would just go through podcast after podcast. That was how I built this with Guy Raz. There was I don't know what other podcasts I listen to. There's a bit of Gary V's podcast, and just like a few ones here and there. And I was just really interested in the whole idea of like being able to sit down with potentially a stranger or somebody you know or a business person and just talk to them about their journey. And I just had this idea in my mind that I wanted to do that. So I think it was October, whilst my university term was coming to the end, somewhere around that time, I hit up a guy called Sam Mazzarino, who goes by the name of Reno online, and asked him to do a podcast. And like he said yes, like out of nowhere. He has like, at the time I think he had like 25,000-30,000 followers, and he just said yes to this random dude with like 400 followers just doing a podcast with him. And I was like, okay, well, it looks like I'm gonna have to find out how to start a podcast. So we did that episode. I'll go into that another time, but that was amazing, and it just kind of propelled me forward, gave me that creative energy back, and set up what I have now, I guess. So yeah, that was basically my university experience. Even though I was looking after myself, going to the gym and eating food, eating good food, cooking for myself, I was just very unfulfilled. So I was like, okay, new chapter now. We're going to go on a gap year. Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention this. I had this idea of going on a gap year to find myself. That sounds so weird, doesn't it? So it's something that these new kids, as people would say, would do. Like, you have to find yourself on your gap year. But anyway, I had this idea of finding myself on my gap year, finding myself creatively, and seeing if I could make a living as a creative in this gap year, or at least set something up. And so December time comes, I just kind of do nothing with myself, and then January arrives. I order all my PC parts with help from my friend, shout out Dan, legend. Order 1 million graphics cards, eventually get the right one, and I build this PC with my friend Dan on FaceTime, and it took me 8 hours, which is a hell of a long time, but I knew nothing about PC building, had a tutorial up and just followed it really slowly. And that kind of made me realize that like you can pretty much learn how to do anything as long as you have the right tools and resources and work ethic. You know, I had a guy who had built like 3 PCs before, my friend Dan. I had a YouTube video showing me how to do everything, and then I had my work ethic, or at least like the start of my independence and my not wanting to follow the norm. This sounds so cringy, but not wanting to follow the norm, mentality. So I was like, I'm going to build this PC and learn how to do 3D stuff on it. And I just did it, eventually got there. And so then the Blender learning began. I'm just going to check the camera to see if it's, oopsie daisies, if it's cutting off. 9 minutes left. Basically, my camera cuts off like every 30 minutes, so I'm going to have to turn it on and off again. But anyway, where was I? So, January time comes around, and I'm going to learn Blender, that's it. I look up the Blender Guru donut tutorial, which is a fantastic resource for learning Blender. In fact, the whole of YouTube and the whole of Blender is just amazing. You can learn how to make 3D for free at home on the internet without paying a penny, for free. It's just amazing. It's phenomenal that we can do this nowadays. But that's what I started to do. So for about a week and a half-ish, I did the donut tutorial and took my time with everything, and kind of just learned how to use 3D, essentially. That was my goal. Just learn the basics of everything. And it was tough. Like, I'm not going to lie. There's times in it where I was like, what is going on here? And I think if you've never touched a computer before, or like you're super computer illiterate, like it'd be even harder for you. But I did an IT GCSE, and like I had an interest in computers and using certain softwares anyway. So I knew a bit, but not too much at the time, and it was tough. But I got through it, I guess. I don't really know what else to say, but yeah. Sorry, there's some background noise. Eventually I got there, did the donut tutorial, and I was ready to kind of do a next project. So I also met a guy called Ale, who's from Puerto Rico, who's Diego's friend. I know there's too many names, you don't have to remember them, but we decided we'd do a competition to see, who could do the best animation. Now, he's been doing it for like a year and a half. I've been doing it for like 2 weeks. So we're like, let's do it. So the theme we chose was Retro Futuristic Moon. I made this animation that is on my YouTube channel and Instagram, whatever. I made that with some help from a couple of friends. Shout out my friend Jacob Siegs, and Moritz. I can never say his name. Moritz Schindler? I hope he's not watching this or listening to this, because he's going to get... he's going to laugh at how much I butchered his name. But anyway, they helped me a lot with that. And we did a competition where people would vote for like if they liked my video or they liked Ali's, and your boy just won it. Your boy only been learning how to use Blender for like 2 weeks, or maybe 3, and beat a guy in a competition who'd been using it for like 2 years. But it's minor. These things just happen. I think it was more that he gave himself 1 day to do the whole thing, whereas I spent like a week and a half on it. But anyway, that's besides the point. I posted that on my Instagram, and then like people were like, "Yo, this is insane! Like, what the hell are you making right now?" Maybe not as extreme as that, but like I think people were impressed that in a couple of weeks I'd managed to go from like not knowing how to make anything in Blender to being able to make this relatively decent, kind of okay animation. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop my camera and then start again so it doesn't cut off. But anyway, okay, perfect. Anyway, sorry, these pauses are going to be terrible for you listening along. You're going to be thinking, what is going on? But January came around. Well, another thing, yes, and I talked to a couple other friends that I had through this Vital Studios Discord server about making them videos, because the main way I was wanting to promote myself and show people my services was by making them for other people. Now, this is actually pretty smart when you think about it. Like, I make videos, like me right now, right? I make an animation for somebody, right? They'll pay me X amount of money. But then it's also advertising for me, right? When they post it, so let's say they have 10,000 followers. When they post that animation and tag me in it and I comment on it and they pin my comment, blah, 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 like a certain percentage of people will follow through and like look at who's made that animation and look at my page, look at my other stuff, and maybe might want more things making. So not only am I getting paid, like I'm getting free advertising. But anyway, I made the next animation I made was for my friend Arch. He has a jewelry brand. He's 16. Shout out my guy. I don't know why I said that so weirdly. And he has a jewelry brand, and he wanted to make like an apocalyptic animation. So for like, I don't know, I think I spent like anywhere between 25 and 30 hours, somewhere in that realm, on that video, in about a week, and made this like apocalyptic type animation, which was okay. Like at the time I thought it was amazing and it was so sick, but now looking back, like a lot of problems with it, but it was good. It was good considering I'd only been doing 3D for like this much. That I got paid for that, which was incredible to me. Like the idea that I can get money from doing things for people still was kind of mind blowing. And you know, more people saw that. I had an influx. I don't know if that's the right word, but I had an increase of people like DMing me, you know, here and there, asking for videos. Sorry, more background noise. I had other people that I DM'd and hit up. I'm gonna do like a full video on networking and how to get your clients, but for now I'm just gonna say like I DM'd a lot of people. Some people DM'd me back, and we talked about making things together. And from there, it just kind of snowballed. Like I'd just find more clients and make more videos. And looked up anything that I need to know would just be on YouTube. Sorry, I'm really tired. That's probably why I'm not being able to concentrate right now. But anything I'd need to know was on YouTube. I'd just look up the tutorial and follow it, and then play around with it, and just took inspiration from my friends Ale and Diego on how they made things and kind of steal stuff and adapt it. And now I'm at a point where, you know, I'm not gonna say like I'm making a full-time living perfectly and being able to fund myself 100%, but I'm making I've had a few nice bigger jobs. I've got some smaller jobs, and I'm making enough money to be like, you know what, this is like a viable career for me to go further down. I think I'll probably go into more depth of the network, like on the projects that I did and the importance of them, in another episode or in a YouTube video. But that's going to be the deepest we're going to go for that. So yeah, I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? Yeah, I've edited videos for people. I've made animations for people. I've made one poster for somebody else wanted a poster but never got back to me. And, you know, I think I'm in a position now where I have a good network of friends. You know, probably like 4 or 5 people who are like gonna be good to me in the future, and I'll be good to them in the future, who will help, and we're gonna help each other creatively. And I've got work lined up with them and other people. But I think I'm happier. Yeah, that's the other point that I wanted to make. Like, I am so much happier than I was at university. Even though I'm not got the same freedom, because the freedom that university gives you and being able to like have that independence is amazing. I have the, like, my everyday is better, as in the things that I spend my time doing are things that I care about. I spend time with people I care about as well, you know, being at home all the time. And right now it's summer, so some of my friends are back from university. By the way, all my friends have gone to university, basically. I don't actually think I've got a single friend who hasn't. So for me to drop out and do my own thing, like, when it comes to in real life friends, like, that's a pretty big thing. I don't think my school know yet, as in like my high school, secondary school, sixth form, whatever you want to call it. But they'll know eventually. But I kind of wanted to do this to, 1, introduce you to me, and 2, just make you realize that If you're in a place where you feel stuck and you feel lost and you don't know what to do, there is another path waiting for you on the other side that is brighter, happier, has nicer people, and is much more well suited to you. And you can achieve that by doing your own thing. That's the message that I want to spread. Like I said, I was in a pretty rough spot where, I just didn't enjoy. I'm not going to say like I was fully depressed and, suicidal and didn't want to live anymore, but like, because that's not how it was, and I don't want to make it out like it was like that. But I was at a point where I didn't know why I was waking up anymore, because all I would do is dread doing my university work. And that's not a nice way to live, and I don't want anybody to do that. And so if you're in that position now, or you know somebody like that, where you feel like you need to make a change, then you should go for it. And you're going to be fine. That's the thing. You will find your own route through this, and you will get out alive, better, thriving more than you are now. Because I'm a human being, you're a human being, we're all human beings, and I've managed to do it. And so, if I can manage to do it, then you can, because we're just two human beings on this rotating planet in the middle of the universe. And so that's the message that I want to spread. The other thing I want to spread is, if you've got this far, thank you very much for, watching, listening, supporting, all that good stuff. It's actually crazy that I can just shove this on YouTube and all the podcast platforms, which is what I'm going to do, and, forever now, this will be on the internet. This is a permanent archive of me, who I am, who I've become, who I was, and random people from all over the world are going to be able to tune in and, see what I have to say. And I know right now this video will probably get very few views and listens, but I'm doing this for one, of course, to be able to get to know you more, and two, I want to document my life more. I want to have videos and snippets of my life where I can sort of reach back and be like, that's how I was then. Because I've seen other people do that, and I think it's really cool, and I want to do it. So that's sort of what this is. This is a pretty spontaneous podcast episode about my life. I had a piece of paper and a pen right there, right? And I was going to write down like some bullet points, and then I just decided like, I'm not going to do that. It's going to be completely off my brain. No editing. The only editing I'm going to do is like syncing up the camera with the audio, and I had to obviously turn the camera on and off, so blah blah blah. Like, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to chop anything out, because, truth is that real life isn't like how social media, and this is going to be so woke, innit? Real life isn't how social media and YouTube portrays it to be. Every single video that I've done so far, and some of my podcasts, like, I've chopped them. I've anything that didn't feel right, or if I've not spoken properly and I redo things, and it's not 100% real and genuine, and that's what I wanted this to be. I wanted this to just, like, that's why I'm like just chilling in my room holding like this big ass microphone and just being a normal dude. I don't even know if my camera is properly in focus, but that's the reality of life. Nobody has this perfect image that we show everybody, and so why pretend to do that? Why am I going to pretend that I'm a perfect human being? Like, even before I was going to do this, I was thinking like, oh, I need a haircut, right? Like, as you can see, this is like a bit of a mess. But the truth is, like, I'm walking around in my house like this, and if I was to go outside and like see anybody who watches this, like, this is how I'd look, And I'm tired. Like, I'm really tired right now. I didn't go to sleep at the right time. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I went to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning, watching a Twitch streamer make a poster. and like woke up at 10. So like I'm completely like, my brain is just right now. But sorry, I just had to check the time. But yeah, you know, this is the reality that we live in. Now, the final thing that I wanted to do before we wrap this up, this is sounding like a podcast episode, funny, is to ask myself the same questions that I ask all of my guests, because it'd be cool. So, the first question I have for myself is, what do you think it is that separates you from everybody else? Now, I used to think I was special. I know that sounds weird, but I used to think I was like a really unique, amazing, special human being. And in one way I am, because I remember my friend in the chat told me, he said this to me and I've not been able to get out of my head. Like, we are all built different, as in every single human being is completely different to the others, and there's no exact replica of me. And so in that way I am special and I am unique. And, you know, the thoughts that I have, the ideas that I have, I'm just going to check if that's recording. I'm getting a bit paranoid. Yeah. The thoughts, the ideas, the person that I am is unique. And so that's one element of it. But the other element is I'm not any different to any other human being. As in, we're all human, right? I'm a human. Bill Gates, Kanye West, all the people that we look up to are idols or celebrities or whoever your person that you want to be like or look like is. That we're all human. And so when we're essentially, like, when you break it down, made of the same stuff. And so there's nothing I can do that you can't do, and there's nothing you can't do that I can do. Sorry, I think I messed that one up. There's nothing you can do that I can't do, and there's nothing I can do that you can't do. Okay, we got there eventually, but figuratively speaking, of course, you know, anything is possible. Because we're all human beings, and if somebody else has managed to do it, and even if they haven't, like, you can just send it and go for it, and it'll probably fail, but eventually work out in a different way. So, you know, that's not really answering the question. What is it that distinguishes me and makes me different? I think my ability to not follow the crowd. Now, obviously, I do get persuaded and influenced by people because we're humans and that's what we do, you know, where we like to have validation and feel like we're part of the pack. But I would like to think that I've got, I don't know if it's discipline. I wouldn't say discipline, but the control to decide that I'm going to do this because I want to do this. And that's something that I admire about myself, actually. The way that I can just be like, you know what? I'm dropping out of university. Oh yeah, because by the way, I have dropped out now. I'm going to drop out of university and pursue this freelance thing. And obviously that's only possible because I've been influenced by other people who have done similar things or like have that sort of mindset as well. But I think that's something that distinguishes me from other people. And again, I'm not going to lie and say I'm like the hardest worker in the world. Yet. But I think I do work hard. And if I need to get something done, I always find a way to make it happen. That's my other quote, make it happen. I make things happen. Not everything works out. Not everything gets done. But I make things happen. So, I don't know if that answers your question. My question. But that's my answer. I always struggle to remember these questions, but I'm gonna say them anyway. A new one that I've been liking is, why do you get out of bed on a morning? So why do I get out of bed? I think I get out of bed because for some reason I've decided that I want to live a life as a creator, as somebody who makes stuff, somebody who can make money by making stuff. And so the reason I get out of bed is because I've made that, like, I've made that image in my mind of I'm going to be somebody who can make money from doing stuff and making stuff, creating stuff. This is a really... Why am I even going to say it? I was about to say this is a crap answer, but anyway, let me continue. I basically decided I'm going to be a creative person, and I'm going to make a living by being creative, and the only way that I can do that is if I get out of my bed and do something with my day. And today has been like, if I look at my day today in that criteria, like, it has been a bit of a failure. I got out of my bed at like 2 p.m. Like, that's pretty bad. That's really shit, actually. But even though, was it 2 p.m., 1 p.m., something like that. Regardless, like, and I haven't done anything creative today apart from this I'm doing right now. So that answer is a bit of a strange one. But this tiredness is really kicking in now. I get out of bed in the morning also because I want to make something of myself. Now I hate saying that because I don't know what that means. I don't know what making something of myself actually means. But I want to do it. And I want to do it to the best of my ability. I want to become somebody or successful or something, even though I don't exactly know how to define that yet. And so that's probably something that I need to work on and think about. But two main reasons I get out of bed in the morning are, one, I've decided that I want to be a creator and I need to get up and get work done because other people depend on me and I depend on me. And two, I want to be successful. I want to make something of myself. I want to earn a lot of money. I want to, make the right connections. I want to have a sustained long career. I want to have a family and be able to finance that and support that emotionally and physically. And I just have like ideas and visions of who I want to be and what I will be in the future. And so I get out of bed to try and fulfill them. So the next question that I also ask people is, what would be some advice for your younger self? Now, I'm going to do a full video on this at some point, but maybe around my birthday time. And what advice would I give to my younger self? I mean, obviously, I can't just give you one piece of advice. But if I was talking to like 16 or 15-year-old Sabih, I think I'd like to tell him that things will work out. I don't know. It's tough because I don't actually know what that interaction would be like, Let me have a think. Okay, I'm just going off the brain. Raw. I think I'd like to tell myself that go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated, which is a fantastic quote that I can't remember who said, because you should try to spend time with people who appreciate you and love you and want to be in your presence, or be alone. Because spending time with the wrong people isn't doing you any good. Or at least people that don't want to be around you. I'd also like to tell him that you will find good friends eventually. I'm not going to say I was a loner, but I heard another quote the other day where it said, I basically was at a point where everybody loved me, but I didn't feel like anybody liked me. So, everybody's like, oh, he's such a nice guy, such a lovely guy. But I didn't actually feel like anybody was really my friend. From like secondary school to the last year of secondary school, so like 4 or 5 years of my life, I kind of felt a little bit like an outcast, I guess. And I really tried to fit in. I really tried to like make myself present in certain things, as in, I don't know how to explain this, like I try and participate in playing football with people that I didn't really like, and just conversation with people who just weren't my friends, you know? At the time, I'd call them my friends, but now like, a friend is somebody who has your back. Some friend is somebody who you can talk to and who's there for you when you need them, and likes to spend time with you. And, you know, I don't want to make myself the victim, but at some points, it might be because people were very sheepish, or it might be because people didn't care about me. Probably somewhere in the middle of there, but, you know, I'd be at a point where, like, I'm still eating my food during a dinner time, a lunchtime, and, you know, people would just leave. Like, straight up just leave. And not sit with me whilst I was eating. And, like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it too much, and maybe I don't like thinking about that anymore, because it makes me upset, you know, thinking about how upset I was in their moments. But yeah, I'd like to tell them that you'll find some good friends who will be there for you, and who will support you and inspire you. I'm just going to check the camera time again. Hold on. Oh, I just unplugged my microphone. Okay, I accidentally just unplugged my microphone. So, oops. Okay, I've got 7 minutes on here. I'm just gonna... Okay, damn, this has been a 45-minute recording already. Wow. What other questions do I have for myself? Where do I see myself in the future? Where do I see myself in the future? This is a difficult question for me, because I don't have a 100% clear vision of who I want to be in the... Or like where I want to be in the future. But I would say, you know, I'll have moved out in let's say like 5 years' time. I'll have moved out of my parents' house. I'll have like a strong, sustainable income from creative work, potentially freelance work. I don't know if I'll still be a full-time freelancer at that point, but I might have like a part-time job and then freelance on the side. I think that's probably what I'm going to move to at some point. But maybe full-time job and freelance on the side. But anyway, I'm going to have a full-time income where I can support myself like completely from creative work. I might have lived in 1 or 2 different countries or places. Well, in 5 years, definitely, yeah. I will have lived in another country, definitely, in the next 5 years. And I'll just be further in my career. I'll be better at what I do when it comes to 3D. I might have learnt a couple of other new things. In 5 years, do I think I'm going to be big on YouTube in 5 years? Because being a YouTuber is a goal of mine. Kind of. Like, I think my overarching goal is to make a living as a creative, and that means that I'm going to have to fulfill all these different avenues. Like, I know that one day I'm going to have to sell products, right, to my audience, or who I want to, or who watches my stuff. I know that I'm going to have to get adverts, or like, on my YouTube videos, because I'm definitely going to get 1,000 subscribers, like, in the next 5 years, so there's going to be that. Sponsorships, I don't know if that's going to ever happen, but, you know, maybe companies will send stuff to me for free. I guess that kind of counts. You know, people might... I think I one day will launch a Patreon. I don't know when. I think when I feel like I can provide people enough value and constant value where I can help them out and teach them, then they might want to give me a monthly amount of money. And, you know, there's all sorts of different revenue streams, like freelance stuff and online digital products. I want to launch some digital products at some point. Thinking of doing like textures for Photoshop stuff and just making them dirt cheap, like literally nothing, because who's not going to buy that? But anyway, in 5 years, I'm really good at getting sidetracked. In 5 years, I'm going to be a full-time creative. Somewhere else apart from this bedroom in my parents' house. And I'm going to be killing it. Now, the final two questions, the first of the two final questions is, how much of your success would you put down to hard work, and how much of your success would you put down to chance? Shout out to How I Built This with Guy Raz. Incredible podcast. It's called How I Built This with Guy Raz. And I stole that question from there because it's a phenomenal question. And when I look at the amount of success that I've had, which is a lot but also a little, as in I'm proud of myself for what I've been able to do on my own, off my own back, but at the same time, like, it's tiny compared to what's going to be happening in 10 years or like 20 years. Like I'm barely 7 months, like 6 and a bit months into this stuff, and I've already done this. Like, where will I be in 20 years? Like, I don't even know. I can't even fathom like who or where or what I'll be doing. But anyway, it'll be a lot bigger, hopefully, than what I'm doing now. How much of the success that I've had is down to chance? How much is down to hard work? Now, I have worked hard. Let me put that out there. Like, I've had days where like I've sat on my computer for hella long time, and I don't know if grinded is the right word because I still enjoyed things, but I've done work for people that has been difficult, and I've had to learn how to do it myself. How much is down to chance? I mean, the thing with chance is you don't control it. You have limited control over your life, but you have full control over what you have control over. And so, it doesn't matter how much is down to chance, in my opinion. Like, it's irrelevant, because without what I've done, the chance wouldn't be there. This whole idea of you make your own luck. So, if I had to put numbers on it, I'd probably say like 80% hard work, 20% chance. Because there's a lot of things like people replying to things, or being able to do a podcast with somebody, or somebody knowing somebody else, and then that getting me a job, or things that I can't control that are completely like down to chance, and them meeting that other person is down to chance. So there is chance involved, but a lot of it is hard work, like me doing things for free or very little money to begin with, just to get work done. Like, that is hard. So yeah, 80-20, 80% hard work, 20% chance. Sorry about the background noise. One moment. My younger sister doesn't know how to contain her voice. Anyway, the final question before you can leave. If I had one message to the entire world, if everybody in the world was listening to this podcast and I had one message, what would it be? What would it be? I understand why so many people take so long to think about this question now. Like, ideally, I would like love to just think about it for 5 minutes and be like, what would my message actually be? Because it's tough. If I had one message for the world, I would say this. If you have things that you want to do in your life that you feel are achievable, and you want to be somebody, and you want to fulfill yourself and find happiness and be an incredible person, you are 100% capable of doing that. It's completely down to you. You have to make it happen. although we don't have control over everything in our lives, the fact that we have control over some of it is enough for us to be able to take life by the balls and guide it where we want it to go. Try not to rely on other people. Try to be strong in yourself. Learn to be lonely. Learn when it's time to share things with people. Learn when it's okay to be vulnerable and sad, and learn that it's okay to have these emotions in moderation. And you can learn anything and do anything you want if you work smart enough, if you work hard enough, if you have the right mindset, and you can create the right environment with the right resources for yourself. If you want to live a specific life, make it happen. Make it happen. That would be my one message to the world. That's straight out of some corny self-help podcast, book, whatever you want to call it, but that is genuinely what I think, especially for people in first world countries like me and I don't know if hopefully it's the right word, but me and maybe you, who have like less overarching huge issues to worry about, like dying of disease and extreme poverty and getting bombed. People like me and you, we have the freedom, we have the ability, the utilities, the material, the resources, the people to make things happen. So use that blessing, abuse it to the max, as in, some people are gonna stay stagnant and do all the shitty jobs, and that's great because that means that we have the freedom to just go be and do whatever we want and be amazing at it. So, yeah. If you want to do something, make it happen. So that pretty much rounds it up for this episode. This is episode 21 of The Bit Between. I'm going to leave you with one final message, which is, thank you very much for supporting me, for listening to this episode. This has been difficult, like, talking to a camera. I keep on noticing myself, like, looking away from the camera. I know some of you guys are listening, but I actually have a camera rolling right now that is recording me as I speak. And it is very difficult to do this, but you kind of get into this flow, You kind of get into the zone, and you just kind of have to think you're talking to an old person and or you're giving a speech to a crowd and, like, they're laughing at your jokes and cheering you on. But this has been a challenge. I've enjoyed doing it. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it more regularly. I'm going to be documenting my life more. So if you want to know more about my story and, how I'm doing, what I'm doing. That's funny. How I'm doing, what I'm doing, and how I'm doing what I'm doing, then, make sure to tune into the podcast. Make sure to follow me on social media. The name is @TheSabdog, @TheSabdog. TheSabdog. Yeah. I don't know if I've been saying it correctly before. Anyway, follow me, do all that great stuff, And if this podcast or any of my content has provided you with value, I would like you to do two things. This is, a bit demanding, but one is like three things. Three things. First is like liking, subscribing, commenting, all that stuff, because, more people have to find this stuff. And if you like it, then there's a chance that somebody else will. So do all that stuff to help all the algorithm out. Number two is leave a review. You can leave a review. The main one I'm concerned about is Apple Podcasts. So if you can go into the Apple Podcasts app and find The Bit Between, give it a 5-star rating. Oh, well, I'm saying 5-star because I think it's 5-star, but give it whatever rating you feel like it deserves, and, give it a good review so when people see my stuff, it's got 5-star reviews. And the final thing is talk to me, I'm at a point now where, like, I'm not huge. I don't have a massive following, and I can respond to every message that I receive, so I will. That sounds really weird and like cocky that I want people to like talk. Anyway, just send me a message. Let me know what you think of me, my story, my podcast, this episode, whatever. Or if you've got an avenue and you want some advice, you know, and I'm completely not qualified to give you advice. But anyway, if you want me to just tell you what I've done over and over again and how that's worked and how amazing it is, and all jokes aside, you know, if you want me to kind of like look at your situation and, you know, give you some tips based on what I already know, I'm down. If you want to just compliment me and tell me how incredible I am at podcasting, just let me know. If you think this episode has been a disaster and I should never do a solo podcast ever again, please let me know too. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap things up for good. This has been just over the hour mark. Damn. I really am I'm really good at talking, aren't I? So once again, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for supporting me. And I'm really glad that you listened to this. Because if you got to the end, then you're a true hero. You're a true G, bro. This is another thing that I struggle with. Starting and ending things. So I'm going to end it right now. Well, not right now, but I'm going to turn this camera off. And when this camera turns off, everything is going to be gone. So, thank you. The camera's probably gone blurry now. Goodbye.